let's go. Let's go into Star Wars a little bit here, right? Like, I think the books that came after the original trilogy, they captured the spirit of Star Wars.
And they
And
also
Disney,
explored new ideas, which is what you're supposed to do. Yeah.
exactly. And Disney did
Sucks.
not capture the spirit
I
of
think
Star Wars. So it's like that's why it just it's very poorly done.
I think for I'll say this. I think The Force Awakens captured the spirit. It wasn't a great
No,
film, but it did capture the spirit.
I think literally we were tricked into liking the Force Awakens
It's
because
way better than the next two films.
we were so hyped. Is it really though? When you really look at that, that was a piece of junk, man.
It's the
I mean,
only
like,
one I
they
would
literally just
yeah.
they replayed some memberberry stuff, and we're like, oh, we like it. But the actual story, like the way that they beat, they get the planet destroyed. You know, they get the shields down. They go to one of the top like generals. You know, Captain Phasma or whatever the fuck her name is.
Oh,
And
Lord.
she just deactivates the shield. And the story is terrible. Right? Kylo Ren gets beat up by like a girl who never trained a day in her life.
I mean, he was dying basically. But
Han
I'll let
Solo
it go.
gets outsmarted on his own ship by a girl that's never repaired anything, as far as we can tell. I shouldn't say repair anything a little bit. Oh, well, what about the antenna to the little robot? You know, like she's a fucking junker. Like that doesn't translate into fixing
It's like
the Millennium
you
Falcon.
fix DVD
Right.
players and hologram projectors, Ray. How do you know how to fix a starship?
The problem is we're on a different topic right now, but like the Force Awakens was just as bad
It
as
was
the other two.
It's infinitely more watchable than the other two.
It's really not. I think it's literally just like because look, you can later analyze a movie and be like, oh, this is bad. But the thing is, like the initial feelings you have in a movie are so strong. That is the biggest determining factor in the rewatchability of something. So, what did Daniel say? She walked the plane.
You should walk the plank.
Well, I haven't even got just died too yet.
He's
so,
talking. He's talking about me,
Yeah.
All right, well.
goober.
No, I think people were so hyped and wanted to like Force Awakens so much that in turn just made people view it as good. And since they didn't have a moment where they literally just said fuck Luke Skywalker, that was enough for people to be tricked into being like, oh, I actually like this.
I thought about this a lot. If the next two films had been good, we would look more favorably on The Force Awakens.
Well, absolutely.
Because the problem was it was setting up a lot of promise and setting up a lot of stories to be fulfilled later. And because those stories were fulfilled so poorly or completely fucking ignored Star Wars in the next two films, that made Force Awakens worse. It was like the opposite of what Rogue One did for the original trilogy. Rogue One was a good independent story that fixed plot holes in the original
It's got
story.
the same issues as The Last Jedi, though, but like, since it was so early on,
It's not intentionally
it gets
offensive.
some
It's not
forgiveness.
trying to poop on Star Wars. Though.
Why was Luke Skywalker not helping at all? Why was he on this island?
Yeah.
Like, the reasoning that they were going to give was, oh, he was just training? What the fuck do you mean you're just training?
No,
What the
no.
fuck? Like, whatever reason we're going to get, it's just
This is what
the
happens when you let
mystery was
two
there.
angry directors in the middle of a fight Eiffel Tower a franchise. That's
It
what
would have been,
happens.
dude. No, it's sorry. It's like the Force. Like that's not a good enough excuse to explain why the Rise of Skywalker was so goddamn awful. His whole plan was to have Snoke be a fucking clone. His solution was to bring back Palpatine. Rise of Skywalker was so bad. It's just like I don't know why J.J. Abrams gets this like little pass because Force Awakens made people happy, even though it was absolute trash.
I think The Rise of Skywalker is a worse film, but
It's so much worse.
It's not nearly
It's
as
so
offensive
much
to me as The Last Jedi.
Last Jedi is more offensive, but as a movie as a whole, like take away Star Wars out of it, it's not as bad.
I never watched it. After the first two, I was like, I don't care.
The Rise of Skywalker. Most people did.
Yeah, the
Rise
third
of
one.
Skywalker.
I watched. It was in the. She watched it in the background. I looked over. I'm like, I don't care. I don't
It was the
watch
worst.
I'm not-
It
I'm
was
out.
like it
I'm
was
out.
the biggest pile of trash ever.
Force Awakens temper tantrum.
No, but I think it's like there was so much possibility where that's why people are so much more forgiving on it. Whereas in The Last Jedi, I'm like, okay, we're 2/3 of the way in. What the fuck? And then obviously Rise of Skywalker, we're like, that's it. Whereas
I am all the Jedi.
whereas in Force Awakens, it gets some leeway because you're like, well, you have 2/3 of a trilogy to fix it. That's a lot of time. But
Yep.
but even so, even if the other ones were still better, like it wouldn't take away the fact that like there was still so much to fix.
We would have been if the
From
other
Force
two if the
Awakens.
next two films were good, just good, we would have been really forgiving of the Force Awakens.
We would have
Yeah,
been, but
that's
we
true.
might have also been wrong to do that.
You're a fag. Anyway. That's how to end this argument off right.
yeah. But
Her midichlorian count couldn't be mapped on their blood analysis. Oh, Daniel, you're old enough. Were you one of those prequel haters? Were you one of those? Just, I need to know. I need to know.
well, I mean, everybody hated the midichlorian.
J. Sebastian King, shut your whore mouth. You son of a god.
Return to the Jedi gets so much hate.
It's undeserved.
It is undeserving. Like I get it. Like
most
people
of
are
the
mad.
good story work from the original trilogy happens in that film.
Yeah, it just like people forget how much like there's some cringy shit that happens in it. I mean that was the one where they made Leia his sister, right? Or
That
it
was
Empire?
a choice they made.
Yeah, that was a fucking choice, and the fact that like the Ewoks should have been Wookiees.
But the Ewoks were fun. I to this day I do not mind the fact that they were Ewoks instead of Wookiees.
Yeah, I think people hate on the Ewoks too much. I mean, like,
why
I
do
can
Ewoks
it.
get so much hate? They're not. They're cute. They're funny. They're
Yeah. And they're like, oh, they beat the stormtroopers. I'm like, it's not the worst thing that's been written.
They also get
Jabba-
massacred a couple of times, if you noticed. But
The Jabba the Palace scene is like iconic. That the whole that everything about that is so iconic.
the throne room
And the throne room, it's
that's my favorite like sequence in almost any film is that whole throne room sequence from beginning to end. I love every part of it.
him turning down the path to the dark side. That is like peak Star Wars right there. They're practically
Sebastian
the same
King,
thing.
we're gonna fight, okay? I'm not threatening you. I'm just letting you know.
Yes, but I think
Bro.
the original intent was to, and you gotta think lore wasn't really written down back in those days. The original intent was to have it as a Wookiee planet.
But they were running, their budget was running low and they had to save money, so they literally just made they turned the word Wookiee backwards and they made smaller costumes. I've seen the behind the scenes.
That's not why they did it. They did it because
Yes,
of the
they did.
merchandising. No, they 100% did it because of merchandising.
No,
You think after the success of fucking Empire Strikes
You know
Back,
how much
they're like, wait, we
money
have
those films
budgetary restraints? Get the fuck out of here.
Ewok is literally Wookiee backwards. They ran out of. They were running it low on budget.
No. They had to get did they have children or midgets or did they have a combination of the two?
See, Bets, how many skin flutes did he smoke before this stream here?
They
I
could have
wanna
just
know.
got regular Joe Schmoes to put on a Wookiee costume that would have
No.
cost just as much to make as an Ewok costume.
No, they paid. It was since the '80s. They paid for midgets. They paid half the money. Half the man, half the money.
Is that true?
No, I don't think so.
I don't know. I don't know about practices
It
in Hollywood in
might
the
be
80s.
true.
It's a different place.
You're half a person. You get half the pay.
I mean, it is Hollywood. I don't know.
Yeah.
Dude.
I was
Sorry.
about to Google it.
Yeah, making Leia Luke's
You can
sister,
borrow my groundhog gun.
that was the worst, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. Boys, do you want to get another topic or do you want to end here because we are at the 2-hour mark just about.
I'm okay with another topic. I know, Justin, you're among the elderly, and you need a bit more sleep than we do, and you're at a different time zone, so it's up to you, man.
That's all true. It's either way. I'm good either way. My audio's been jacked up for the last hour, so I'm doing my best over here. It's
Input,
hard to hear
output.
sometimes. Input, output?
Output.
Input
or output?
in my ears. The sound in my ears is like.
Oh god, that sounds horrible. All right,
I think
let's talk
my
about.
driver.
You just watched a clip from the Iron Seas podcast. Make sure to like this, subscribe. It helps us out a little bit. And please catch the show live at 9:30 Eastern every Tuesday.